As the Secretary General of the United Nations, an organization of 147 member states who represent almost all of the human inhabitants of the planet Earth, I send greetings on behalf of the people of our planet. We step out of our solar system into the universe seeking only peace and friendship, to teach if we are called upon, to be taught if we are fortunate. We know full well that our planet and all its inhabitants are but a small part of this immense universe that surrounds us, and it is with humility and hope that we take this step.
In the 1970s, NASA, with the assistance of Professor Frank Drake and Carl Sagan, designed 4 man-made interstellar probes. 2 were called Pioneers and 2 were called Voyagers. 2 of these probes are still sending data and images back to NASA to this day. They are way beyond Pluto and in deep, deep space. However, you can hardly find any information about the data being sent back to us from the official NASA website and public relations offices. These probes were partly powered by plutonium and a gravitational slingshot after photographing Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, and Uranus. Aboard these probes, there are gold-plated plaques of copper and video discs with recordings of people's voices, music, singing, and more than 100 images of tribal people, landscapes, and the Earth's oceans. The video discs are sealed in solid gold cases and have a stylus to play themselves. Any intelligent extraterrestrial would be able to see what humans sound like, hear many dozens of different types of languages, look at our naked bodies, and be able to find planet Earth easily by using a map designed by Carl Sagan, showing the Earth's position in relation to 14 pulsar stars. These plaques and video discs are the perfect interstellar calling card, inviting any alien race to come to planet Earth. During the 1970s, the highest levels of NASA management were still being run by Nazis such as Werner von Braun, who had previously been an SS officer developing the secret space program for the Royal Bavarian Third Reich. Not surprisingly, the golden discs of the 2 Voyager craft contain a welcome message from the Secretary General of the United Nations, Mr. Kurt Waldheim. Before he represented all nations on planet Earth as Secretary General of the United Nations, Kurt Waldheim was the President of Austria. He was also a former Nazi SS officer, found out to be complicit with war crimes, and it was Kurt Waldheim who presided over a meeting about UFOs with Dr. Allen Hynek and Jacques Vallée at the United Nations in New York in 1978. Within months of this meeting, the Star Wars weapons program was launched, which, according to former Pentagon officials, allows US Space Command to shoot down invading UFOs using intercontinental ballistic missiles launched from submarines. It is very, very obvious that NASA invested huge amounts of money into the Pioneer and Voyager projects, carefully designing golden plaques and golden records which would entice aliens to our planet. However, where is the contingency plan in case of alien invasion? Where are the NASA guidelines on how to initiate communication with these aliens if they do indeed find these disks and arrive on planet Earth? Officially, all NASA astronauts I have spoken to say that they have never been given any training whatsoever. They've never been told how to deal with an encounter with an alien. It is very, very clear from the writings of the people who attended the meeting about UFOs at the United Nations that some kind of protocol, a secret protocol to communicate with aliens, had indeed been planned secretly by officials. It was the French ufologist Jacques Vallée who first postulated a series of hand signals, sounds and colours which would be used to communicate with aliens. It was Jacques Vallée who inspired the character in the film Close Encounters of the Third Kind, played by Frenchman François Truffaut. In the film, it is a Frenchman who is organising the first meeting with aliens, and who is in charge of NASA operations at a secret facility out in the desert, far, far away from where members of the public can see the first historic meeting of humans and aliens. Pioneer 10 was the first of these man-made probes carrying a gold-plated map to be sent into interstellar space. Pioneer 10 was launched by NASA on March 2, 1972 to study Jupiter and eventually study interstellar deep space. While the spacecraft is believed to still operate properly to this day, communication has been lost since January the 23rd, 2003. Before this, Pioneer 10 was in extended mission to study the dynamics of the solar system boundary, including interplanetary magnetic fields, the solar wind, cosmic rays, and the so-called heliosphere. It seems that as soon as Pioneer 10 reached the boundary of the heliosphere, this is the place where the cosmic particles ejected from our Sun end, which is a teardrop-shaped bubble that stretches for millions of miles into space beyond Pluto. As soon as Pioneer 10 reached the outer boundary of the heliosphere, all communications with it abruptly ceased. This was not the first time that one of these probes carrying a map of how to find planet Earth mysteriously ceased operating. Pioneer 11, also known as Pioneer G, as in the letter G found in the international symbol for Freemasonry, a very apt name considering that many NASA astronauts and technicians are Freemasons, was launched by NASA on April 6, 1973 to study Jupiter, Saturn, and is now out in interstellar deep space. While Pioneer 11 is believed to still operate properly, NASA say that communication with Pioneer 11 has been lost since November the 30th, 1995. This means that no communication has been received from Pioneer 11 for 15 years, and no communication received from Pioneer 10 for the last 7 years. Just at the point when these probes were leaving the heliosphere bubble which surrounds our Sun and solar system. Almost as if some external, possibly alien force has terminated mankind's ability to penetrate deep space beyond the natural boundary of our solar system. On the 24th of August in 1990, near the town of Lubin in Germany, a chap called Valery Vinogradov filmed a cluster of UFOs. He says that he saw many people looking up at the sky, and it's no wonder because you see a circular cluster of unidentified flying objects with a object in the center and another object off to the southern tip. And it's a fascinating piece of footage because we see a sphere go towards the cluster and then disappear, with more objects further south. This is obviously very similar to an official NASA photograph taken during the STS-80 flight of the space shuttle, and that took place on the 19th of November 1996. And these images were taken with the Orpheus SPAS remote satellite, which is taken up in the payload bay of the space shuttle and released into space, where it drifts free. And the Orpheus satellite has been designed by DARA, which is the Deutschland German space agency. It looks into the ultraviolet light spectrum, and these images show we're looking down on the Earth's atmosphere, and you can see these UFOs taking up a circular formation, and objects are coming from behind the space shuttle or behind the satellite, and then as they reach the upper atmosphere they light up. And this is very similar to what Valery Vinogradov filmed in Germany. And then we have amateur astronomers posting various clips of UFOs on the lunar surface, and this has come from an amateur astronomer who lives on the Franco-Italian border. And this is a mosaic of small QuickTime movies which have been filmed in black and white from the lunar surface, and in the bottom left-hand corner you see this dark object. It's passing the Eudoxus crater. These craters are very, very large. Most craters on the moon are between 10, 20, 30 kilometers across. I estimate this object to be around 25 kilometers in diameter. Now, it's either an actual object or it's a shadow of an object which is passing over the lunar surface. The distortion that you see is due to atmospheric aberrations. And here we see the object, it stops, it's pausing, and where it was going from left to right, we now see the object pause. These jumps are not being made by the object itself, they're gaps in the actual QuickTime video recording facility of the telescope. And now you can see that the object is heading in a completely different direction. Now, if this was a natural object, say for example an asteroid, which had been caught in the gravitational pull of the moon, then it wouldn't change direction. And now we see it traversing a crater. Some craters are so large on the moon they have craters inside them. Those Bailey craters are about 30 kilometers across, so we can see that this is a very, very large object. And you can see that it's going now off the northern quadrant of the moon, and there it leaves, or it goes round the horizon, and there is a track of this object's movements, its trajectory is totally unlike any natural phenomenon. And one has to wonder if in 1991, during the Space Shuttle flight STS-48, that these objects filmed by NASA astronauts in the upper atmosphere and just outside the atmosphere are also coming from the moon. And 6 years later, during mission STS-80, which had filmed the circular formation of UFOs, there is also ultraviolet footage showing a very large object emerging, coming out of the Earth's atmosphere. And there are also many other objects as well. On the left of the screen there are 3 stationary objects. There are presumably meteorites streaking past, and there from the Earth's atmosphere you see a very, very large object which is possibly 20 kilometers in diameter. And I suspect that this footage was filmed by the Orpheus Space Dara remote satellite pointing back down on, and these objects which you see coming away from the Earth really shouldn't be there. Every object should be captured by the Earth's gravity, and that large object that emerges from the atmosphere is a complete and utter mystery. Now the moon has been thoroughly mapped, and there's ongoing moon mapping missions with satellites going around the lunar surface taking high definition photographs. Nearly every couple of years there's a mission like that. And what I've done here is I've got a moon atlas which has been stitched. All these individual JPEG images from various lunar surveying missions have been stitched together, and the near face of the moon never changes as far as our point of view is on planet Earth. The moon does not rotate, and so there's always this hidden dark side of the moon. And in this animation we can go from pole to pole, and as each year goes by the quality of the images which we get from the lunar surface are increasing and increasing and increasing. It's interesting that I've never seen any lunar survey images which have been sharp enough detail to show any of the landing sites of the Apollo missions. What French astronomers have done is they've mapped these high-res images from the NASA archive onto a 3-dimensional spherical model of the moon. This is the near side of the moon with all of its so-called seas. These are where liquid lava 100 million years ago leaked into large crater areas or depressed areas, and many of these seas are fairly level and featureless. But as we go onto the dark side of the moon, this is the coming around now, this is the side of the moon which we never really see. You can see that there's quite a difference in the topography and the geography of the dark side of the moon. There's not so many of these flat areas which are shown up in this animation as being dark. And let's face it, it's a very large object, and if aliens were to come to Earth, it would be a very, very useful stopping off place, because, as I said earlier, the near side of the moon is always the same side of the moon which we see from Earth. This animation of the moon does not rotate, so we never see the dark side of the moon, and therefore it could potentially be a very useful place for extraterrestrials to have a landing stage and stop off before they enter the Earth's atmosphere. And I believe that the space shuttle and the Dara Orpheus satellites and other equipment are being used to track UFOs which are visiting the atmosphere and planet Earth as they come from the moon.
We have an unidentified flying object